Hey guys, this is M4T and I'll be reviewing the E4K action camera on this episode of On the Sea. So back in January I made plans to buy a second Get 2P, but as soon as I heard that the E4K was going up for sale, I quickly pulled the trigger. It's widely known as one of the best competitors compared to the GoPro, and so I wanted to see what all the hype was all about. I bought the E4K at NCIX on sale for $150. As it is, everything is very well packaged, it looks premium. Inside the box you can expect to get the unit itself, a micro USB cable, a battery, a manual along with other paper material. For the purpose of this review, I'll also be reviewing a touch-enabled waterproof case, which I got for $20. The CorpritTM waterproof case I got was designed to allow for touch input. It works mostly well with the exception of some bulging and resistance to input, and disappointingly it comes with a clip base rather than a tripod mount. But this might be a good thing if you've invested in action camera accessories. It's nice to have a case that protects your device from splash and drops, but it also affects the picture quality, increasing haze and lowering contrast. One of the biggest strengths of the E4K is its touchscreen. It's so much easier and intuitive to use than physical buttons. However, I do think that the menu system can be greatly improved for usability. One nitpick with this touchscreen is that it doesn't accurately show colors, and you can notice multicolored banding. Eventually I was relieved to see that it was only a screen issue and not the recording. I kind of wish this screen wasn't glossy. Even at the brightest settings, you will have trouble seeing the screen in bright daylight, which is ironically the best condition to record. In addition to touch input, the device has one physical button. It's all plastic, so it's light, but maybe it's not a good idea to drop it. That being said, I did drop the device in the waterproof case and nothing bad happened. Whoever thought of putting a mounting hole in the bottom deserves praise. It's very nice to be able to use the action camera on a tripod or gimbal without requiring additional accessories. The USB cable on the other hand is way too short, but I suppose it's only a minor problem as it's only used for charging and transferring files. It would be nice if the E4K could be used as a webcam, but this just isn't the case. Even so, a slightly longer cable would be better. The E4K comes with a 1400 mAh battery, and depending on your usage, you can expect an average of 2 hours, depending on your settings. Furthermore, the battery is easily changed, and they're very affordable. The official batteries are $15 each. This is priced low enough that you can carry a spare, or even look into third-party options for something cheaper. He states the minimum requirements for a micro SD card is a Class 10 U1 or higher for the E4K. 4K videos are roughly 466 megabytes per minute, or 1 gigabyte per 2 minutes. The official specs declare that the max acceptable card size would be 64 gigabytes. So how does it perform? I generally use the flat picture profile for eventual post-processing, but if this is not part of your plan, I think it might be better to leave it on the E-color setting. The E4K boasts a 12 megapixel sensor, which should be more than enough to give a 4K image, but the E struggles a bit with picture quality. I've used many different settings to see what was causing it, but I just haven't been able to figure it out. At 4K, this thing works at its best. Honestly, the 4K setting is actually the true 1080p setting. You can downscale it and get the kind of 1080p image you want. At 4K, the picture is otherwise okay, but it's sad to see that there's no distortion correction or stabilization. I found this setting, like all other settings, really requires good lighting to look right. Actually, in bright scenes, dark spots look poor in quality, and so I think high contrast is something that the E4K struggles with. At 1080p, the picture comes out soft, both with or without distortion correction, and whether or not the stabilization is toggled on or off. For some reason, it underperforms compared to my Get 2. I think it's because of the wide lens and the 12 megapixel sensor, but there's so much sensor information to work with for 1080p that it's just no excuse, really. I think it might be processing. The slow motion feature is cool, mainly because you don't have to do anything in post-production, but the quality of the video suffers so much more as you further slow it down. It also seems to default to a low resolution, so I don't know what casual use scenario that this would be appropriate for beyond showing your buddies, maybe one time. So by now I'm pretty sure you could tell I was pretty disappointed in the quality coming out of the E4K, and so I was searching for some kind of solution and I looked for firmware updates, and then I ran a firmware update, and what I found was pretty shocking as well, because I ended up losing video options. Now before, there used to be an Ultra 4K option at 30 frames per second and an Ultra 1080p option at 120 frames per second, and I ended up losing both those settings. Now you can only do 24 frames per second or 90 frames per second. But all the other ones are missing, so I don't know why they would remove this. I don't know if it was to hide the fact that maybe it was not working at a good quality, but then again, none of those video settings are actually at a very high quality standard anyway, so I don't know why they would remove features that I was looking forward to using. This little machine takes okay pictures if you size them down. It's about as good as an older smartphone, but you do get a very wide image. In the past, I knocked the Get 2P's photo ability mainly because of the flaring, but looking back at the old photos for comparison, I think it outperforms the E4K in image quality. With the Get 2P's sensor, this is understandable. For some reason, the zoomed in details come out very soft, and that aside, they do have a better JPEG engine compared to the Get 2P, in my opinion. For some reason, they don't even offer a RAW option, and I don't know what processing is going on in the machine, but once again, everything comes out soft and not very sharp sometimes. With or without distortion correction turned on, close objects also look extremely distorted. So for me personally, a distorted fisheye picture isn't exactly ideal for capturing the moment. I find it distracting and constrictive to editing potential. Fortunately, the E4K comes with built-in software distortion correction. When enabled, it really does fix a lot of the distortion, only slightly reducing the field of view. And of course, I'm not sure if it's really sacrificing some sharpness, considering there's not really a lot of sharpness to begin with. So for some, it might be better to install a non-distorted lens, considering the 4K video option is the only really usable video option in my opinion, and because there's no software distortion correction at this resolution, that might be a good idea. The E4K comes with electronic image stabilization, which is limited to certain modes as well. The image stabilization is hit or miss. It does stabilize the image and helps keep objects trackable, but it suffers from odd distortions that make it look like it was obviously stabilized. Strangely, the gyro stabilization available in less expensive action cameras actually work better. I don't know if E is committed to improving in-body image stabilization, mainly based on the fact that they did build a gimbal. Again, a note that stabilization is just not available for 4K modes, so post-processing or external stabilization will have to suffice, though some people just aren't looking into intense editing or spending more money than they need to on accessories. Sound is great in this thing. Apparently it's stereo. It seems to pick up sound nearing the quality of my mirrorless camera. I've heard not so good things about the performance in a waterproof case though, and this is understandable given that conditions. The night performance is not bad. The auto ISO does its job, though it does get grainy. While it's not available in every mode, the auto low light feature seems to be okay as well. So in conclusion, the E4K turned out to be a pretty big disappointment for me. You know, I expected things like the distortion from the wide-angle lens, and I was expecting the gyro not to be as good as other products because I've previously read up on it. But seeing all the softness and lack of sharpness is really disappointing to me. You know, the normal price of this product is pretty high, and even at the discount that I bought it from, I really just find I can't justify it. I almost wish I paid less for another Get 2P like I originally was planning to do. So here we have a case of something like a $250 machine being beat by a $130 machine, and you know, I just don't think that's very acceptable. I don't know how that came to be, that this price could be so high compared to the other products. I'm sure that under the hood there's a lot of processing ability, and you know, the stats on paper look really good, but in terms of actual practice, it just all the power has just gone to waste. It's not used very efficiently. So for the record, nobody is paying me. I'm being real here, and I just think that if another company that made less expensive cameras, you know, Get Up, SJ Cam, I think if those guys came out of the gate actually trying to do something great, they would probably totally beat anything coming out of GoPro or Yi. I don't know if this is a case of brand recognition eclipsing true quality, but this is one of those cases where what you get is not what you paid for. This is especially important because the E4K Plus with 60 frames per second 4K video is coming out soon, and before I was really excited about it. I even reached out to the company to say, hey, can I pay you for an early review copy? But now that I've tried this product, I'm just really not motivated to to even try that other product. Even at the lower settings, with a 12 megapixel sensor, a 1080p picture should look really good. As it is, I'm currently looking into alternative projects to mod this device to make it more viable. I'm hoping this is just an issue of the lens and not having to do with something internal like the sensor or some kind of processing. I'm hoping that I can mod a Canon lens onto it or a C-mount lens onto it and get something better out of it. So thank you for watching M4T. If you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. And lastly, tell me how you really feel in the comments. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.